very well. Since it is a special day, I will show mercy.
You are banished. Leave this palace immediately.
Azula, one of the most iconic villains in television's history. Now, if you've noticed from my videos, I've been very critical when it comes to the character Azula. At first I was like, oh, the actress playing her looks too nice, I don't want a watered down version of her. Then we got a 2-second clip of her from the trailer that made me go, you know what? Maybe she's up to the task. But for today's video, I'm not here to talk about Lizzie, but rather on something that I've noticed in some live action remakes that I'm hoping we don't get to see in this Netflix adaptation. But before we get started, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you've not already. Sit back and let's get into what we have for today's video. Now, there are certain movies or series you'd watch and the villains will be so vile and annoying that you would just be praying for their downfall. A good example is Jeffrey from Game of Thrones. Like, that was a character that was so evil that fans were literally celebrating when he died. But that's not the case with Azula. Like, right from her introduction in the show, we had every reason to despise her. She was a remorseless child who grew up to become a very deceptive teenager. Like, she didn't care when she overheard her grandfather talking about killing her own brother Zuko.
Dad's going to kill you. Really, he is.
She took over Ba Sing Se, shot Aang, like, she was so terrible. But the show did a very good job at making us see why she acted the way she did, how her upbringing and being her father's protege made her grow up to be a perfectionist and a ruthless fighter.
Almost isn't good enough.
And all through that entire process, she was still an unapologetic villain, unlike Zuko that was being torn in between being good or evil. And that's one of the reasons why the animated show is beloved. But with live action remakes, developmental stages of a character tend to get overlooked and they just keep ahead to something else. I don't know, maybe because they feel as audience who already know what's happening, which sometimes can be so annoying to watch. A good example of such an instance can be seen in the live action Mulan. The animated movie took its time to develop Mulan from a simple village girl who through hard work, persistence and discipline became a fierce warrior that took down the bad guy. But then the live action remake ignored all that and gave us a Mulan that was already special from her childhood, and she rather joined the army to showcase her wonderful skills from birth, no growth, nothing. And if that can happen to a protagonist, then it can be worse for a villain, especially in our climate today where folks don't want to go all the way in with the villains they make. And that's why the live action One Piece really surprised me when I found out that Along was played by a black man, because he was a really terrifying villain, and let's be honest, you rarely see people of color playing villains these days. So all these factors are the reason why I'm a little worried as to how Netflix will adapt this character. I'm not worried about Zuko because I'm sure they're gonna stay true to his character development because there's a redemption arc at the end of the road for him. But Azula, I just hope she's not toned down or made sympathetic right from the get-go. I want to see all her flaws. I want to see her relishing being a villain and just have her bring that threatening and commanding presence and nothing else. Definitely Netflix can add 1 or 2 things to her character to develop her from what we had in the animated show, but anything to take away from what we already have, I don't want to see that. And if this show turned out to be successful, then we can have that 4th season to then give her a redemption arc or something. And this goes for all the characters in the show. Like, I want to see Sokka start off as a sexist before coming to respect the women around him. I also want to see Katara's motherly nature and everything in between, and so on. Because these are traits that are fundamental to our character's development, and giving us an already established or perfect character, I hope that's not the case with this Netflix remake. So what are your thoughts on this topic? Am I just overreacting, or share all that down in the comment section below. Like, share and subscribe, and also check out more of my videos on Avatar, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.